that is also.
Yeah.
So if I have one red light,
I think I always have less.
or 11 red
That's
lights.
more, less music.
Otherwise, I think that's
Chanting, you know?
A lot of people like that. Yeah, they also see that. They don't want the more like produced effect.
Yeah.
Do you want to do a mic? I will be there.
làm việc của phải gạo lắm.
I should come to class more often, huh?
Showing? Yeah. Yeah? Showing? What? Is the screen working? Yeah? Without any problems? Good, mashallah. Good, mashallah. Do we need to, guys, brothers, do we need to move the TV closer here? Because everyone, all the brothers are here. If you could do that? Yeah. Sisters, do you prefer seeing the screen a little closer and then you guys can continue? Yeah, we're just trying to see. Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما تعلمنا وزدنا من فضلك علما تعليما إنك على كل شيء قدير وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. How's everyone doing? Alhamdulillah. So this is the second last class, inshallah. That's the intention for the Imam Al-Nawawi for the Hadith class. And alhamdulillah, I'm glad to see, we started off quite big, quite packed. We're down to about 1/3 of that original size. I'm really glad that you guys have been here all the way on the journey. I'm expecting next week when we say it's the last class, we'll have everybody else back, and that's okay too. Alhamdulillah, people have things that they're busy. But I am very, very glad that you guys have been able to stick through this. And so let's get going. We'll try to do 3 hadith today, and then we'll cover the other 4 next week, inshallah. What hadith are we on? 35. So page 112, and it's called Brotherhood and Sisterhood in Islam. And it begins, and we narrate from our teacher, Shaykh Abdullah Misra, who narrates back to Imam Al-Nawawi, back to the Prophet ﷺ, who's to narrate. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا تحاسدوا ولا تناجشوا ولا تباغضوا ولا تدابروا ولا يبيع بعضكم على بيع بعض وكونوا عباد الله إخوانا المسلم أخو المسلم لا يظلمه ولا يخذله ولا يكذبه ولا يحقره التقوى ها هنا ويشير إلى صدره 3 مرات التقوى ها هنا التقوى ها هنا التقوى ها هنا بحسب امرئ من الشر أن يحقر أخاه المسلم كل المسلم على المسلم حرام دمه وماله وعرضه رواه مسلم. Alhamdulillah. On the authority of Abu Hurairah anhu, who said the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, do not envy one another. Do not inflate prices on one another. Do not hate one another. Do not turn away from one another. Meaning don't turn your back on one another. Do not undercut one another. But be all of you, O servants of Allah, brothers, like real brothers. A Muslim is the brother of a Muslim. He neither oppresses him, nor does he fail him, nor does he lie to him, nor does he hold him in contempt. Piety, righteousness and piety, taqwa, is right here. And he pointed to his breast 3 times. It is evil enough for a man, it is enough evil for a man to hold his Muslim brother in contempt, meaning think of them as low. That's enough evil for you to do that. The entirety of a Muslim on another Muslim is inviolable, haram, inviolable. His blood, his property, and his honor. It was rated by Muslim. SubhanAllah, look how many things are packed. Yeah? Oh, it's strange, but why is my computer screen coming up but not my...
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Now it showed up.
Thank you. So, mashallah, look how many different things I underlined in that, just to show how many different points that there are to talk about. Envy, inflating prices, hating, turning away from each other, undercutting each other, be a brotherhood. Don't oppress people. Don't ditch them. Don't lie to them. Don't scorn them. So that's like literally 10 instructions, and it ends with the inviolability of another Muslim, which is, you could say, 13. So in this one thing, we packed in 13 different things. And what is it here to tell us? Number one, the centrality of brotherhood in Islam. This is why this entire hadith, I called it after brotherhood and sisterhood. Of course, when we say brother, we mean sister as well. The first thing that you'll notice is they talk about taqwa at the end of the hadith or towards the middle of the hadith, because we often interpret taqwa when you see somebody, let's be honest, when you see somebody with a nice white turban, nice long beard, wearing Islamic clothing, you see a woman, maybe she's dressed completely in flowing black abaya, maybe a niqab, maybe the person has a misbaha, tasbih in their hand. Immediately, don't you think this person has more taqwa?
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
And you look at a person next to them, maybe dressed completely normally, no indication that they're necessarily Muslim by looking at them, and immediately the mind says, the person who's dressed religiously must have more taqwa than the other person. That's the first assumption. Or we say, when you see someone from a noble family, someone, the child of the Shaykh, the child of the Imam, someone from a special lineage, their last name is a big last name. And then you see someone who, no one's special, they're not from any background that's any noble family. You automatically think that the person who comes from the better background must be a little bit more culture aware and therefore maybe even more religious or pious. These are sometimes the outward things that we begin to judge taqwa on. That's why the Prophet ﷺ is saying, taqwa is here. And he says that after mentioning a number of things. Okay? And all of them have to do with how you treat another person. Okay? So the first thing is the centrality of brotherhood in Islam. One of the things that attracted me to Islam, and I'm sure many of you who became Muslim, is the idea of the closeness of Muslim brothers and sisters. We don't always act like we're brothers and sisters, but we are aware that there is a bond between us. You know, they say, what is it? What do they say? Blood is thicker than water. Right? Have you heard this term? Blood is thicker than water. Whatever water is supposed to be, of course, blood is thicker than water. It means family is closer to you by nature. What I take that one step further, because Islam takes it further, that faith is thicker than blood. Because faith is what makes you treat each other. This is why the words that are used are indicating the relationship is brother, but it's even more. Because there were Sahaba in the Battle of Badr who fought and killed their own brother or father in some cases, because they were fighting alongside their believing brother. I want you to imagine that. Okay? Now, I'm not saying it's a good thing, it's a very disturbing thing, it's a bad thing, it's very sad that it happened, but they had to choose between Iman and Kufr and Shirk. And it was a choice that they didn't have, they couldn't make that choice. So this is why the idea of brotherhood in Islam is understood so carefully. Now, the next thing is, the first thing the Prophet says, do not envy, la tahasadu, don't envy one another. What is the basis of envy? What is it? If you could summarize envy, how would you summarize it?
Somebody is richer.
That's an example.
Better than.
That's it. No, those are examples. What is the essence of what the person who envies, what do they want?
I
Education.
wish I would have it.
I wish I would have it, and sometimes even what?
They don't have it?
No, they go even further.
Who's that?
I wish the other person didn't have it. So for many people, their problem is, why do they have it? Sorry, was there? Yeah. Sometimes, so there's one thing to say that you want a blessing that someone else has for yourself. That's like the lowest thing. But the even worse envy is that you say that I wish I could have that blessing by them losing that blessing. That's the real basis of envy. Listen, if somebody gets a good job, there's nothing wrong with saying, oh, inshallah, I wish I had a good job too. Okay, there's nothing wrong with saying that. But it depends on how you feel. Now, the envy comes where you say, you almost have a disagreement with Allah, where you think, why should this person have this when I don't have this? Why does she think she's so pretty? You know, she thinks she's so pretty. What does she think? She's so XYZ? And this is how sometimes men think, oh, he thinks he's richer than me. You know, and you wish that they would lose their wealth. And the lowest, most disgusting form of hasad is when you wish a person lost their blessing, even if you don't get it. Like what? Person gets married, person gets a good job, something happens, and you look at that person and you say, I hope something bad happens in their marriage. I hope something bad happens and they fail their exam or they don't get this promotion. Right? So the reason why we don't envy one another is because people are attached to dunya. People are attached to things in the dunya. You become desirous, but eventually you hate the one that has them. So it sometimes happens where among friends, envy starts taking place. Sometimes even among siblings, right? I mean, look what happened to the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam. They were jealous of him. They felt that their father loves Yusuf more than they love him. So what ends up happening is when you envy someone, you can love them, but pretty soon you will start to hate them for the fact that they have that blessing. And this is one of the ways that shaitan comes in between Muslims. Through other objects, brings enmity to the hearts. Of course, the way to get rid of envy is, one of the ways we'll talk about this later, but one of the ways is to make dua to Allah to bless them in the very thing that you're jealous of them in. So if you see somebody with a thriving marriage or very good children or a lot of money, oh Allah, increase them in wealth. Oh Allah, increase her in beauty. Oh Allah, increase them in Islamic knowledge, whatever it is. And don't think that envy is only in worldly things, meaning with worldly people. In fact, you know what they say? The envy between religious people is the strongest sometimes. They say envy between the people of knowledge is very strong. Oh, look, he's giving khutbah here, he's getting called here, he's got this many followers. It does take over even religious people. Even religious people. So may Allah protect everyone, inshallah. All of us. وَلَا تَنَاجَشُ. And najash is when you you falsely try to put up a price of your goods. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you have an auction, okay? And in this auction, you're selling something at a certain price. Let's say, for example, $5. I say, who wants this old iPad for $5? Now you want to actually sell it at $10, but the crowd has to get up there. So you appoint a stooge, somebody on your side, to say 6. So the other person says 7. And then this person just bumping up the price, 8, 9, 10. And then they back out and you say, okay, sold to you. So what you did was you falsely inflated a price by making someone else bump up the price. You planted in the audience to do that. For example, you have planted people in the audience, for example, or in your crowd. Well, I'd like to buy this. And the other person comes and says, but they're on your side. Well, I want to buy this too. I'll offer you 100 for it. And you turn to the person who you really want to take money from. And you say, look, he's giving me 100. What are you going to give me? Okay, fine, I'll give you 110. Okay, sold. That guy was on your side. So this type of falsely driving up the price. What does this mean? It means that economic justice is at the heart of Islam as well. Ripping people off is not allowed. And we do this in more ways than one. Some people think it's only through this ancient means of auction. No. What do we do these days? This is one of the pious, you could say, the religious tricks I heard. So you have goods. And I heard about this from a Pakistani, my first boss. So some people do this. They have a merchant and they take this good and they sell it to their wife for $100. Now they're selling it to you for $150. And then they say, I swear by Allah, I bought it for $100. When they bought it for $50, but they sold it to their wife and bought it back, and then they can say, Allah ki qasam, like I gave this much more. So then, okay, then you say, oh, the person has to add a profit. So you rip the person off. What's another way to do this? You have 100 items, 100 copies of this same laptop. And what do you say? Only 5 left. Come soon and get yours before they're gone. You have 95 in the back. So what happens? You create a scarcity mentality. People line up, and then everybody gets a laptop anyway. Okay, so or like an iPad. So this is the thing about raising prices, because the kind of injustice, when economic injustice happens, is because of greed. It's because the person selling, they want a little bit more, but you don't realize when you put up prices on somebody. I'll give you another example. Right now, the aid that has to get into Gaza, it's so sad that the people at the, near the Egyptian border, at one point they were charging the trucks to go to their own Muslim brothers and sisters a crazy amount of money, $10,000 per truck, as a bribe, just to get aid in. This is absolute economic injustice. Or if a charity, for example, you donate to the charity, and so they take that money and they say, oh, we'll buy the wheat and we'll buy the goods from our own place. And that's a higher price. So you make money that way. Whatever it is, there are ways that even in religious things, people put up prices. And this is wrong, right? Even religiously ripping people off. When it comes to counseling, when it comes to ruqyah, I'll do something for you religious, but then you bump up the price, or you make a relationship with the person, so now you can start asking them money. Even in a religious way, it's wrong. Next thing is, وَلَا تَبَاغَضُوا, and do not hate one another. When you mean don't hate one another, one of the things is, there's some people where your inside just doesn't like them. You ever have somebody who just gets on your nerves?
Yeah.
Come on, guys. So, there's some people, the Prophet said, the people you get along with, it means in the alam arwah, the world of souls, your souls used to get along. And when you don't get along with somebody in this life, and no matter how friendly you are, there's always somebody who they just grade you the wrong way. This is a test from Allah. It's not that you're supposed to hate them. This is a test from Allah. How do you bear with them? How do you have character with them? Especially if they're your own family, or they're your neighbor, or your co-worker, right? So this is why the Prophet is saying, do not hate one another. Don't think. That's why whenever I hear, kids say all the time, oh, I hate you, I hate you. I say, never say that to another believer. Never say that. But why? You did this to me, she did this to me, she said this. I hate you, I hate you. No, never say that. Why? Because the Prophet said, do not hate one another. Because if you hate each other, you will not make dua for each other. If you don't make dua for each other, you're not actually on the same side. You're not on the same team. You'll want bad, all the other bad things will increase. But it also means that the ulama say, it also means do not do things to make you hate each other. So hating each other means don't do things that would make you hate one another. Right? I'm sorry, does anybody that can get a glass of water? Can anybody get if there's a bottle of water outside or downstairs? Yeah, you can just send your son. Okay, it's okay. What's fine? Yeah, you can just send your son. Yeah, it's fine. So, he's off like that. Sorry, my throat is getting so dry. You should bring a big bottle this big. So do not do the things to hate each other. Next thing is wala tadabaru. Dubur means the back. It means the backside. Tadabaru means to turn your backs on one another. Right? For example, you're at the dawah, you're at the party, they're at the party. As soon as she comes in, you turn around like you didn't know that you know she was there. Okay? This person needs help. You turn your back. So it literally means, like we literally do this, but it's metaphorical as well. Don't turn your backs on each other. Don't do that to each other. So the funny thing is, why do you think these don't hate each other and don't turn your backs? Why are they two separate things? Doesn't it sound the same? Does it sound the same?
Turning your back is an action that you are actually showing this person. Hating is that nobody knows that it is in your heart.
Yes. So what happens is sometimes you can hate somebody, but you don't turn your back on them.
Right.
You're in their face. I mean, guys, anybody who's worked in a corporate job, right, knows that people can hate you and smile at you at the same time. In fact, usually it's your employee that works right beside you, they hate you sometimes the most. And you only find out later on and they complain or something like that. Your neighbor can hate you. Okay? So that's one type. But then there's another type where it becomes open. And sometimes you turn your back on someone, but you don't hate them. You don't hate them. But you just turn your back on them because maybe you look down on them. Maybe you're selfish. So don't turn your backs to one another because it's going to isolate everyone. The next thing, what does Allah say next? وَلَا يَبِيعْ بَعْضُكُمْ عَلَى بَيْعِ بَعْضٍ. Do not let any one of you sell over the sale of each other. What's an example of that? Don't sell on the sale of another. What does that mean? How do you sell on top of somebody else?
Wait, selling?
Yeah, selling something.
It means you promise one to sell, but someone else come and then you change your sale to that.
Okay.
Like a beta?
Is it like hoarding?
No, it was similar to what you're saying, but it was the opposite way around. But it's a similar thing. So what happens is, for example, let's say someone bought this iPad for me for $100. Okay? Let's say someone bought this iPad for me for $100. Now another person who's selling an iPad, he comes to my buyer and he says, listen, instead of buying from him, buy from me. I'll give you for $95. So once you make that sale transaction, don't do that cut in between. Now, it's okay if the person has not made up their mind. So, for example, you're taking multiple quotations. Like, I'm getting a quotation, I want to pay my driveway. How much is this? I can go to another Muslim brother and say, what's your quotation? So then he doesn't have to say, did you ask any other Muslim? Then I can't give you a quotation. You ask, how much is this sold here? How much is it sold here? That's fine. But what they're saying is, do not sell something, because bay'ah can also mean buying and selling. It's usually meant for selling, but it can mean buying and selling. But do not do this thing where people are coming to an agreement and you interrupt the sale by tempting them away from that. Or you tell them, for example, someone buys something from a brother, he has a return policy for 3 days, 10 days. You bought it for this much, you should have bought it from my store. And you make them start to feel that they could have gotten a discount. So you tell them, listen, return the item, just put it back in. Return it. Come buy it from me, I'll save you $10. This is undercutting. It's called undercutting the sale of each other, right? But there's more practices that come out. For example, what is it called? Undercutting, but there's a...
How about if I want to get some job done, there are 3 people that have given me a quote, and I want to give that business to my Muslim brother or sister. So I go back to this person, I say, hey, the other 2 or one of them is giving me this price. I want to do business with you. Would you make that price? Is that okay?
Well, this is okay because you're not committing.
Okay.
You're saying, look, I'm just shopping around. I'm taking quotations. What will you do? And you can say, look, this guy is doing it for me for this much. What will you do it for?
Yeah.
So this is okay. This is an open quotation. But let's say, for example, you already, I don't know, like for example, you already, sold the item, and now it's reserved. It's like somebody has this thing reserved item. You're selling a house, they already put sold by so and so, and then somebody else comes and says, I would have given you this much for it. So it could work in buying and selling. So the other thing is, for example, a related hadith is la yakhtub ala khutbi akhika. So in your meeting, do not propose on top of the proposal of your brother. So there is a rishta talk taking place. Rishta means, for anybody who doesn't know, it's a marital, matrimonial talk. So a family has gone to a girl's house, and like in this culture, that okay, we want to ask for your daughter's hand in marriage, and you bring a proposal, and they start sitting down and they're talking and everything, and then it's like, okay, we sealed the deal. It's a vatbaki. They go like, you sealed it. We decided. Then somebody else comes to the mother and says, oh, my son does this. Why don't you marry my son? And now the person's in a confusion. Do I continue on the engagement, or do I break the engagement to go for a better deal? You see what kind of fitna you cause? Right. Why is this not allowed? Because you will cause hatred between each other. And anything that causes undue hatred between each other is haram. So anytime you're going to anger Muslims for something unjust, wouldn't you feel it's unjust?
Yeah.
If you were engaged to be married to somebody, and all of a sudden they broke the engagement after the engagement, and then they went with somebody else because they gave them a higher mahar, or she's more beautiful, or something like that. And so people do this. People unfortunately do this. That's why the Prophet said, do not propose now. This doesn't mean that you cannot be speaking to multiple suitors on a marriage app or something. Right? Just in case somebody thinks you don't actually have to go one by one in a marriage consideration. It's better to do that, because that way you preserve the feelings. Okay, so is that clear? There's a difference between engagement and when you're still looking around and you're not sure. Okay? Next one is, and do not, the Muslim, where are we? I can only think of water right now. Jazakallah khair. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, mashallah. Allah always give you what you want, inshallah. But it's good for you. Anybody else wants water, please come take it. So, the next thing he said, but rather, do not do all these things. Rather, be you, O servants of Allah, brothers. The reason why the Prophet said, وَكُونُوا عِبَادَ اللَّهِ إِخْوَانًا. Why does he say the be servants of Allah, brothers? The reason why he refers to us not as Muslims but as servants of Allah, he's reminding us, you are just a servant like everybody else. What actually means slave. With slaves, everybody's the same. Your master is one. So why are you trying to get over and above your other brother or sister? Why are you trying to outdo them? Why are you trying to think that you're better than them? This is why the Prophet is saying, be ikhwana. And ikhwa, it actually means your real brother. You know how like in some Indo-Pak cultures, for example, they say, this is my brother. You say, oh really, you have a brother? It's like, no, I mean my cousin. And then you say, this is my real brother. In Arabic, you say your shaqiq, means your real full brother. And in Urdu, you say your saghir or something, right? Yeah. So even in some cultures, you would fuzz the term brother. Here, the term is being used is your Muslim, fellow Muslim, is your full real brother. Not just like the brother or yes brother, right? So this is the problem. These days, we call each other brother, and then we cheat our brother. But you would never do that to your own brother, correct? I mean, of course you would never do that to your own family. You're not supposed to. You're kind of like, but when you have a business, right, you're not going to cheat your own real brother. but you'll cheat the other guy, but you call him brother. A person will say, call a sister sister, but he will harass her. You won't harass your own sister. You'll never sexually harass your own sister. You'll call as all sister, 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 but you are looking at her with an evil eye. So if you thought of every woman as your sister, and you thought of every brother as your brother, you would treat them the way you treat your own family. This is the whole point. Then the Prophet continues. He says, a Muslim is the full brother of another Muslim. Does not oppress him. We talked about oppression already. Does not yakhduruhu. Does not ditch him or abandon him. What does that mean? Khidlan, it means to leave someone in the lurch when they need your help. What's an example of that?
When they need of money.
Okay. What it means is, when you agree to help somebody or you can help somebody, and you back out. Khidlan, in old ancient Arabian terms, was when you went to war with another tribe. And another tribe said, we're going to come help you. So you're saying, okay, I'm facing my enemy. Now your enemy is here, and your ally has not come to help you. They decided, no, we're not getting involved. So you left the person in the fight by themselves. It's a war terminology. What's the other aspect of?
How about if somebody, like a brother or sister asks you, do you need some help? And you do ask for help, and then they don't help you.
Yeah, they leave. Yeah, so for example, like leaving someone in the lurch. Everybody goes home after class. You see one person, their car has broken down. You see sister hood is up. She's looking at everything like this. She's looking around like this. And you're the other car, and you don't have an EV, you have a gas car. And you have, let's say you have jumper cables in your car, you give them a boost. What do? I'm gonna get home, man. I'm driving home. You see you're leaving the person in the parking lot by themselves. Why did you do that? Right? Even similar, like you don't have to, even across brother and sister, you can do that, like male and female, you can do it with a distance. You see someone, a sister, carrying a bunch of groceries, can't handle it, everything breaks, goes on the ground, and what do? Well, quickly, I gotta go, I'm not gonna help. So this is how you leave someone in the lurch. You say you're gonna come help them, you don't help them. Somebody says, I have to talk to I have to talk to somebody about something very important. Can you come and be with me? Just stay with me by my side. Then you say, I don't want to associate, and you leave them after you promise to help them. So the key is, you can help them, you've indicated you're gonna help them, and then you back out. So you don't ditch your brother, Muslim or sister. وَلَا يَكْذِبُ. Do not lie to them. Do not lie to them and say falsehoods to them. وَلَا يَخْتِرُهُ. And do not, حَقِير, ihtiqar, is to think they're nothing. Have you seen this where people think the other person is nothing? Unfortunately, this happens a lot with race and social class. So someone, let's say, who's from a certain social class, they're like, I really felt bad, when sometimes I'll give you an example in Indian society, but it happens in every society, even here. Sometimes people who have, in Muslim cultures, people have foreign extraction, they think they're better than the people who are indigenous. So, for example, in India, we are descended from, Persians, we are descended from Arabs. Then you have a name, maybe Sayyid or some Siddiqui or some Faruqi, or you have some good name. And then, who are these people? These are what line of work do they do? What background are they from? What caste are they from? Have you guys heard this? You haven't heard this? It's very, very real in many societies. Or tribally. We're from this tribe. In Jordan when I lived there too. We're this tribe. Bani so-and-so, Bani Fulan, Bani Fulan. Who are these people from? They're from nowhere. Or you're not even from a tribe. So you think you're better than the other person. Or you think that because you're born a Muslim, and you've been Muslim for generations, and then this person is just a new Muslim. How can you think you're better than that person? So looking down on anyone, and people do this with race a lot. And they think that because the person is darker skinned than them, or because they don't speak a certain language, that somehow you're better than them. The Prophet is saying, do not look down on one another with contempt. Or you say to yourself, this person has this kind of parents. This person's father is like this, so she or he is from a lower status You're judging people by what someone in their family did. You're judging the kids. Oh, they're from a broken home. So you look down on these kids. This person had an addiction before. Now you look down on them. None of that is allowed in Islam. That's why then after mentioning all these 10 things, then the Prophet says, "Taqwa hahuna." Taqwa is here. Any good teacher, every good teacher, let me get down to this. Any good teacher uses different ways of explaining something. And the Prophet was the best of teachers. He would often point. Why? So that you remember what you're doing. Sometimes he would actually touch the other person. Sometimes he would draw something in the sand. So that taqwa. Then the Prophet said, it is enough evil for a person, and he repeated it again. It is enough evil for a man to spurn or scorn his brother Muslim. A lot of people think, look, I'm pious, I wear tobi, I come to pray, I wear hijab, and I don't do the major haram things. But I look down on all my sisters who are not like me, who don't dress as well as me. I look down on my brothers who don't have much knowledge. And he said, the Prophet was saying, that's enough evil for a person to do. The last thing he says is every single aspect of a Muslim on another Muslim is haram. Haram meaning you cannot violate it. The blood, meaning you cannot shed the blood of another Muslim. Of course, unless there's a legal right, that's a different story, self-defense or something. And also wealth and reputation. A lot of people, they will respect the blood of a Muslim. They don't respect the wealth. I've heard of problems in a masjid. There was infighting between a board of directors, and you wouldn't believe, after you come out for Tarawih prayers, tires are slashed of one of the board members. In a masjid. But they're fighting between each other, who can take control of the board. So this is where you obviously didn't get the memo, right? And then they say, okay, fine, I'm not going to slash your tires, or I'm not going to violate your wealth, but reputation, they will backbite that person, trash their reputation. His daughter? You know his daughter, what they do? You know his son? You know what he does? And you'll trash the other person's reputation. The person's reputation in Islam is sacred. It is sacred. You cannot just go talking about somebody. And a problem is, we often, as religious people as well, quote unquote, we often do it in a pious way. Have you heard of pious backbiting? Oh, Abdullah, may Allah help him. May Allah guide him. Have you heard this? Oh, poor guy, you know. What can you do? He's just caught in sins, you know. We all sin, don't we? All of us are sinners, right? You haven't mentioned anything. When somebody mentions Abdullah, and you say, Allah guide us. Allah guide all of us. You know, no one's perfect. So this is actually a pious backbiting. It's a pious backbiting. It's a religious trick to do the same old thing. But, you know, it's like you almost respect if the person just did it openly instead of using du'as and all these fake things, right? But in it, there's an element of pride. You see, the problem with the religious backbiting is you think you're better than the other person because you're making dua for that person. You don't realize you need their du'as too, right? So, inshallah, next hadith. Wait, did we finish? Yes. Yeah, and so what it means is, it's not just in blood, wealth, or honor, but the point is, all of the Muslims haram to another Muslim, you cannot violate them, okay? The feelings are sacrosanct. Knowledge and worship lead to service. Let's see if we can finish 2, inshallah.
I have a question.
Yes, sure.
Where it says, and he pointed to his breast 3 times. Is there any way to explain about that?
Yeah, so he was just trying to show his heart. He was trying to say, piety is here. Piety is here. Here. So the person realizes that it's not just on the outward, because, you know, in Islamic societies, you can get out of hand and start to judge another person. Right? So this is the thing the Prophet starts with. Right? Yeah.
Is there a concept of envying yourself?
Is there a concept of envying yourself? Like, wow, I wish I could lose this blessing so I could gain it, like that?
Or like a bad thing?
Give me an example.
Like,
I do this so great. I'm
Envying.
so good at it.
Maybe that would be pride.
That's like pride.
Right.
Yeah, that's like pride. Envy, you have to have somebody else there. All of these sins, if you notice, they all involve the other person. Right? It's not with yourself. So they all involve the other person. The next hadith, عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: من نفس عن مؤمن كربة من كرب الدنيا نفس الله عنه كربة من كرب يوم القيامة. ومن يسر على معسر يسر الله عليه في الدنيا والآخرة. ومن ستر مسلما ستره الله في الدنيا والآخرة. والله في عون العبد ما كان العبد في عون أخيه. ومن سلك طريقا يلتمس فيه علما سهل الله له فيه طريقا إلى الجنة. وما اجتمع قوم في بيت من بيوت الله يتلون كتاب الله ويتدارسونه بينهم إلا نزلت عليهم السكينة وغشيتهم الرحمة وحفتهم الملائكة وذكرهم الله في من عنده. ومن بطأ به عمله لم يسرع به نسبه. رواه مسلم بهذا اللفظ. الحمد لله. Okay. On the authority of Abu Hurairah that the Prophet ﷺ said, if we can grab the somebody can grab the ladies' side door, please. Probably like 88 feet. Okay. So, on the authority of Abu Hurairah, the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever removes a great difficulty from this world, from a believer, Allah will remove from him one of the great difficulties or griefs on the Day of Judgment. Whoever alleviates or goes easy on a needy person, Allah will go easy on them in this world and the hereafter. Whoever covers the misdeeds of a Muslim, Allah will cover up for him in this world and the hereafter. And Allah is in the aid of His servant as long as he is in the aid of his brother. Whoever follows a path to seek knowledge, therein Allah will make easy for him a path to paradise. And no group of people gathers together in one of the houses of Allah, reciting the book of Allah and studying it among themselves, except that sakina, tranquility, descends upon them. Mercy envelops them, and the angels surround them. And Allah mentions them amongst those who are with Him. And whoever is slowed down by his actions will not be hastened forward by his lineage. There's a lot in that as well, right? So Imam Al-Nawawi, at the end, he's kind of packing in these universal hadiths. Because how many points are there in this hadith that we just counted? I mean, probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8, 9, 10 points. The first thing is, Man nafasa al mu'minin. What does nafasa mean? Exactly. Our Arabic people. Yeah.
Deflate.
From which word?
I remember like deflating a balloon.
Yeah. What's the related word?
Breathe.
Yeah, it's from breathe. Okay, so nafas is a breath. Nafasa yunafisu is from tanfis. Tanfis is, if you guys ever lived in like Jordan or a place where they had like radiators, every winter, the radiator in the house, you would, right before the winter, you would have to open it, and there's a pressure valve. And when the water is running around, you would have to let off the extra steam. That's called tanfis. And letting out air from a balloon. It's like, so you let it out. So it means kind of, what it means here is nafasa al-mu'minin. You let the person breathe a little bit. Because they're so tense. You ease their pain, and they are able to breathe. So whoever takes away, and the Prophet said, a kurba is like a calamity. They're in a problem. They've got an issue. Anybody who gives people ease, and kurbatan, it's nakira. Nakira, it means that it's just general. If you help a Muslim with any problem they have, right, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah will take away one of your problems from the problems of the Day of Judgment. Because sometimes we think that problems that we have to help each other in are religious problems. So brother, if you have a religious problem, I'll help you. But when that person needs something, they're in trouble, we think this is dunya. You have to struggle in dunya by yourself. No. If you can remove a person's worldly problem, Allah will relieve your spiritual problem in the next life. Why do you think this? Why is it like this? Why do you think this is? Why will Allah remove a spiritual problem, like an otherworldly problem, which is eternal consequences, for a problem from this dunya? Why?
The brotherhood concept again, so that if you are helping, you are saving the society, and this person who is in greed can cause harm to other people.
Okay, but why is Allah going to relieve one of your problems on the day of judgment? Like, what's the equivalent between a worldly, like an example of a worldly problem? Somebody comes to you, they need advice, you help them. They need some money, you help them. They can't figure out something on their phone or their computer, you help them. Any problem a person has, if you can relieve a problem for somebody.
Because that's the reward in Akhirah.
But why is that the reward? Guys, we know it's the reward. So I want you to go deeper than that.
To emphasize that point.
Why is it a reward? Okay, but why is it that the connection? Why is that the connection? What?
Because God tells us to love each other.
Okay.
To love ourselves, so we're following His commands.
But why in Akhirah? Why is it Allah going to relieve your problem? You guys are all right. They're all good. Now we're getting closer to
I
life.
get it.
That's when we need the most.
Because we are not, if our intention is not to get a reward, when something back from the person, maybe that's the reason.
Okay.
In other words, it becomes that
Okay.
It's because Allah described the dunya as a test.
And doing the test, yes.
I think in the Akhirah is the most needed to have any of these,
Yeah.
whatever sets you at the moment in that position.
Right.
So this is
Yeah.
most important.
Those are all very good answers, yes, but still one thing I'm going to hit on, yeah.
I mean, Allah could recompense you by relieving you of something in this world, but because Allah is greater and more generous, He does it for you hereafter.
And who's the one who relieves your problem in this world? Wait, you just said Allah relieves your problem in this world, but it says whoever relieves your problem for their brother. What's going on? Is there competition here? We just said Allah relieves the problem, but here he's saying if you relieve the problem. What's the connection? Yes.
Allah make me the means.
We're helping each other, but yeah.
Allah is guiding us to help the other person, like He is the one who
He
tells
make-
us, like,
He make us the means
Yeah.
to help him.
Your needs. So the one who actually removes problems is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you become the means of doing that, right, you are actually kind of imitating Allah. You're imitating, Allah is the one who relieves problems. If you go to do something Allah Himself does, then Allah is saying, do you think I'm just going to relieve a worldly problem in return? When you did my job, you relieved the servant's problem on behalf of me. Because that servant might have said, oh gosh, I wish Allah help me out of this problem. What am I going to do? And you came and you said, here's an envelope of the money. Here, pay your rent. You're gonna get evicted, pay your rent. You came and you said, I have that medicine in my cupboard. Here, let me give this to you. So they were asking Allah for a solution. You came and you presented the solution. Obviously, maybe you don't know, Allah is the one who sent you. But Allah's generosity, He didn't just leave it and say, look, I'm the one who made you humble. No, Allah will say, oh, you're so nice to my servant, I'm much nicer than you are. Let me show you how I'm nice to you now. So Allah doesn't pay you back in the same coin that you deal with Him. Allah pays you back in something that is far greater than you can imagine. And when you come at a time when you have helped someone, especially when they have no other help, when you do that, then when the time comes on the day of judgment, who can help you on the day of judgment? So the quality that you had in being the person's savior or helper, that's when Allah takes it upon Himself and says, now watch how I give you. Watch how I help you. So this is where the believer, it's a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what should tell you that helping anybody in this life is such a... now, if you go around saying, I'm helping you because I want help in the next life, even that is pious. But it's not the best thing. You know, one new Muslim sister said this. She said, you know one thing I don't like about Muslims? Whenever they help you, they let you know that they're seeking reward. It's like they're just using you. You know, oh brother, let me get some reward. Come, let me drop you here. Come on. You know, now you've made it like you're doing business with this person's problem. And you've made this person feel like they don't matter. It's just the reward that matters. Right? You're just greedy for the reward. And even that is a level of iman. But the way to do it is to become a person who helps no matter what. When a kafir can stop on the side of the road and say, is everything okay? You need help? Right? They don't even have a reward from Allah for doing that. SubhanAllah. But their heart is so good. Right? So we as Muslims should be doing it just because we have a good heart, inshallah. Now the next thing is, well, and whoever makes it easy on someone who has it hard, Allah will go easy on him in dunya and akhirah. What this refers to is someone who owes you money. Okay, when you borrow money, you usually borrow money from someone who has more money than you, correct? And so if that person now is needy and you come to them and say, pay me back, and you know they're having a financial difficulty, and you're pounding the door saying, give me back my money. And if you go easy on it, now you can demand your money back. In Islam, you have the right, contract is up, give me my money. You can do it. But this is where the Prophet is saying, if you go easy in that moment, they say, okay, close. Maybe next week. No problem. And even better than that is if you said, okay, don't worry, you don't have to pay me back. I give it as sadaqah. You don't say that, but you say, don't worry about it. Okay? If you do that, Allah says He will make it easier for you in this life and the next. The first promise was only in the next life. Remove someone's problem, and you'll get another problem removed in the next life. Why do you think this one was in this dunya and the akhirah? Why? If you go easy on someone financially, Allah will go easy on you financially this life and the next life. Why this life and the next life? Why is it one above? Because
because it would be okay for you to ask them and you're still letting it go. Versus the grief of a person, you're going out of your way to alleviate the grief. Versus here, you could ask them for the money back. You're saying, hey, you know what?
Okay. Also, let me ask you something. Would you rather help someone, help someone with their phone or charge boost their car, or would you rather give them $100? Which one would you rather do? Which one is easier to do for you? Help them, right?
Yeah.
Money is a lot harder to part with. When someone borrows money from you, it's a lot harder to part with. So if you give me another worldly reward for giving up my loan that I gave my brother or sister, right? I'm like, nah, it's okay, I want my money back. Because the nafs is attached to wealth. Al-mal akhud nafs.
It's attached.
Yeah, but if Allah says to you, don't worry, I'll also go financially easier on you in this dunya, then the mind that has an attachment to wealth, like all of us do, it says, okay, fine, just go ahead. Because you're seeing where you owe somebody. This is why a lot of people who are wealthy business people, they would often go easy on people where they could, because they want their business to do well. You get what I'm saying? And I've noticed this as well, actually. There are businessmen who will go easy like on poor people, and their business thrives. Right? Why? Because they have conviction that if I go easy on the poor or the needier person, Allah will go easier on me in the dunya and the akhirah. Right? So alhamdulillah.
I wish creditors think that way.
Yeah, this is why we have deen. Right? They don't have deen. So this is the whole situation. And interest on top of that. So subhanAllah, this is not even including interest. Like, we're in a world that's very far from that. Very, very far from that. وَمَنْ سَتَرَ مُسْلِمًا سَتَرَهُ اللَّهُ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ A sitar is what? It's a curtain. Satar is your awra, your nakedness, what you have to cover. Whoever covers for a Muslim, Allah will cover for that person in dunya and akhirah again. What does it mean? Man satara musliman. You went on the person's, someone lent you their phone, they got a dirty picture open on the phone. What did you do? You gave it back like you didn't notice. Don't say anything. Right? That is like, instead of opening up their opening up their sin, what do? You cover it up. Why would you do this? Why? You're not supposed to be sinning. None of us are supposed to be sinning. Why should you cover the sin of another person? Call them out.
So Allah will cover your sin on
Oh,
the day of judgment.
yes, we know that. But why would the instruction be to cover the other person's sin? Because usually, as religious people, when we get self-righteous, we expose people. You know? Why would you cover another person?
It's not good for you nor good for the person.
Why? How? What happened?
Because I think everybody has their own sins, and if they would cover someone else's sin, Allah will cover their sins.
But guys, you're giving me the hadith back in a different way. I want you to go deeper.
I think it has to do with the fabric of society, because if you call them out and you let their sin out, you're basically, you're basically damaging the fabric of society.
How does it damage the fabric of society?
Because if that sin gets out and other people find out about it, then, and if this happens with multiple, because everyone's a sinner.
Right.
If it happens with multiple people, then everyone is pointing fingers at each other.
Right? And what happens to the person in the face of society? What happens to them? They get reputation loss.
They damage you.
So what happens is, I just want you to imagine, for example, to give you an example, like some kid goes and does something that's haram. Okay, that's wrong. They're not supposed to be doing it. Now, if you were to go and expose this sin to the person's parents, okay? You expose it to the person's parents. Now they lose face in front of their parents. Okay, so now the parents know my kid does this. The shame goes away. People have shame, that's why they hide their sins. But you took my shame away. You just revealed to everybody what I do. So what does that young person say?
I don't have to be afraid.
I don't care. Right? Like the person is smoking in the back of the restaurant or whatever. They're back at the school, they're smoking a cigarette. Please don't tell my parents, please don't tell my parents. Okay? Now let's say you told the whole masjid, I found this person smoking. Next day they'll be smoking in front of the masjid. They'll be smoking in front of everybody. Because you already tore down their shame. So now you encouraged it. This is why when you have modern society, their idea is to expose tabloids. This is why in Islam, you're not supposed to speak about scandals actually. You're not supposed to. Who cheated on who has an affair, you're not supposed to. Why? Because when you look at the tabloids and you say, such and such a movie star, caught having an affair, here's the picture, they went out to dinner with this lady. What happens is it makes a society, fahisha, obscenity spread in society. And you think to yourself, if my biggest hero, my model person could do it, then it's not bad for me to do as well. And as you said, just imagine how bad society would be if everyone's sins were just written across their face so easily. Then you would say, everybody else does it. Why should I refrain from it? Yes?
How do you reconcile this with the hadith about if you see a wrong to correct it?
Oh, so you can correct it,
Yeah.
but you don't expose it. Right? So you can say to the person, hey, that's not good for you. Like, hey, why are you doing that to yourself? Come on. That's not right. That's not right. But there's a difference between saying that's not right and saying the whole masjid, so-and-so's son, I saw him doing this. So-and-so's daughter, I saw her holding hands with a boy at Irvine Spectrum. What? No, I'm serious. This happens. Oh, someone calls, some auntie calls, oh yeah, I saw your daughter, yeah. Yeah, she was with some boy, I don't know. Oh, nothing. And you know they do this. They do this too. And what happens? Then you stir the problem now with this thing. And you're like, oh my gosh, what's happened? So you expose the sin. And now, sometimes it happens that a person can forgive themselves, but now they feel so dirty that they feel like they can't, they feel like they can't get over that reputation. They don't want to come back to the masjid. Everybody knows I had a boyfriend, or I got caught in a nightclub. I can't go back to the masjid now. Look how I look. I'm not even religious anymore. So a lot of people, they stay away from religious gatherings because they develop a reputation as a young person. It's opposite. Now there are some exceptions to this. And what is the reward? That Allah says He will cover you in dunya and akhirah because you also have sins to be covered. So if you start uncovering people's sins, remember Allah can expose you for something way worse and embarrassing, even if you're in the middle of your own house hiding from everybody. So it's kind of like a incentive, but it's also a threat. If you expose a Muslim, Allah can expose you too. Right? It's opposite, works the opposite way too. Now there are some exceptions to this. Okay? Sometimes in our society, we talk about covering up as a bad thing. A cover-up is a bad thing. If there is harm being done, that is dhulm, and then that's different. And I'm going to be very open about this. You know, there's a teacher in the school that's abusing and molesting kids. You don't say, oh, it's okay, I'll just cover this up, brother. Make sure nobody knows about it. Khalas, last time, make tawbah. Come on. No. At that point, you say, I'm sorry, I have to expose this by who? Not to talking to the entire masjid. Again, that's not right. To call the police. To tell the authorities. Right? You have to. Why? Because someone is being wronged, an innocent victim. You cannot say, once the victim is an innocent person, then you don't have a choice to cover it or not. So you cannot say, husband is beating the wife, and you say, cover up their sins, and don't talk about shh. I mean, you have to try to get that person help. Okay? That's the first thing. The second thing is, if that person is going down a road where they sincerely need help to come out of it. Okay? If you see a kid, a child on drugs, okay, that's not the time to say, don't worry, between you and Allah. No. In that situation, I as a parent would, anybody would want that you inform the parents so they can intervene. Because what's your intention here? You're like, I don't want them to become addicted. I don't want them to go further into haram. Does that make sense? So this is any other questions about this before we go on? So then he says, Wallahu, and Allah is in the aid of their servant as long as the servant is in the aid of his brother. Meaning, as long as you are helping other people, Allah is helping you. So don't think when you're helping somebody, sometimes you go, I helped them enough. Stop now. Remember, the help that you're getting from Allah in your life may be because you're helping somebody else. So actually one of my, I heard this through a scholar, through another scholar, if you want Allah to help you, what should you do? Go look for someone to help. If you want the help of Allah to come, find others and help them. Because Allah guaranteed He will be in your aid, as long as you're aiding people. Okay? And then He says, I'll take a question at the end, right? And then He says, whoever traverses a path, seeking knowledge, Allah will make a path to Jannah easy to them. You notice that it was just tariqan, any path. Okay? What does this mean? There's not only one path to seeking knowledge. There's full-time, there's part-time. There's in-person, there's online. There's going abroad, there's going overseas, staying local. So there's so many different paths towards knowledge. It could be, a busy mother has a different path to knowledge. Sometimes a working father or a working mother and a busy father, whatever it is. Sometimes people could have a disability or a challenge. The way that you seek knowledge is not the point. The point is that you left your house to do that, or that you made an intention to do that. And Allah is saying, as you are doing that, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even though we're not the best examples, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our whole gathering under this dua. That when you set out of your house to seek knowledge, when you came out of your houses, according to the hadith, the angels spread their wings on your path as you were walking. The angels were actually putting and the one who seeks knowledge, the fish in the sea are making dua for you. Yeah, the status of a person seeking knowledge. Why? Because a person of knowledge is a rahmah to all of creation. Because the knowledge that you use it'll improve you, so you'll be better to everybody. And you'll teach others, so they'll be better to everybody. Right? So Allah will make the door to the path to Jannah easy. Also, imagine, because people who seek knowledge are necessarily sacrificing something else. Okay? People who go to seek knowledge, maybe they don't They choose not to go to some sort of schooling or business. Someone who's here has taken time out. You could be doing something else. Weren't you doing something else last night? You were. So you sacrifice that time for Allah. So Allah will make your path easy to Jannah. And no group of people got together in a house, in the houses of Allah. Meaning not just Masjid Nabawi and Mecca, any house in the houses of Allah. Even ISLC, right? Nobody gets together except reciting the Book of Allah and studying it between themselves. Now this is not necessarily just Quran itself, meaning the laws of the Quran, the teachings of the Quran. The Quran teaches us to follow the Prophet. We hope it also applies to the Hadith. We hope it applies to Aqidah. We hope it applies to everything. The point is, every knowledge goes back to the Book of Allah. That's why that's used. Nobody does that, except that sakina, tranquility will descend upon. Maybe you had a very rough day. Maybe you were stressed out. Maybe you have a problem. As soon as you come into the gathering of knowledge, you feel a calm coming. You feel a quiet and ease. This ease is actually spiritual. It's a metaphysical thing. Because why is that peace coming down? Ghashiyatul rahmah. Allah's mercy is surrounding you. Ghashiyah is different than ghita. Ghita is a cover, a lid. Okay? This is the ghita, a lid. Ghashiyah is to completely cover it, like you completely put a shawl over it. So this is how Allah's mercy just comes all over you, right? And then the angels start to pile on top of each other. They love it when a person is talking about knowledge or listening to knowledge, so they want to attend too. So the same way that we're out here with our notebooks and everything, they want to hear what's going on. They love it. And so they actually haffathum al-malaika. Because the number of angels, look, there's a limited number of seats. Angels start to pile up on top of one another. You know, they even say, subhanAllah, when someone's studying Quran, an angel will come and join their lips to your lips. They love to breathe in that. So this is where, whenever you finish this class, or in any other class, you'll notice afterwards you feel kind of at calm, at peace. You go downstairs, you get your chai. Why do you feel lighter? Make sure you take your chai. Why do you feel lighter when you do that? Because you just went through, not exercise. You don't feel the same way when you come out of a movie, but you feel this way when you come out of a lesson. Right? Why? Because you feel the angels and the peace. And of that, what else happens? Allah mentions them with whoever is with Him, in front of whoever is with Him. What does that mean? Allah, we're not saying physically in that sense, but who is with Allah? The angels, the Salihin, the prophets. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has His angels and all of those people, all of those beings. And the same way that we're mentioning Allah, 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 Allah. Right? Can you imagine if Allah said, your name in that gathering? The same way we're saying Allah, Allah, Allah this, Allah this, Allah this. And Allah is looking at you and telling the angels, look at these people. Look at this person. And naming each one of you. Look at this person, look at this person, look at this person. And He's boasting about this. Because Allah, not all of His servants read His book. Not all of His servants seek knowledge. So what happens is that Allah boasts about you because He's proud of you. Because actually, pride is for Allah. Allah can have pride. Right? And if Allah, imagine, if this is who Allah feels proud of, don't you want to make Allah proud? So what do? You do it. Right? And then what is the last line says? And then whoever sins, slow them down. Well, they means slow. Whoever sins, slow them down, meaning they're not doing the right actions. Their lineage, their family background will not speed them up. What does that mean? What does that mean? Guys, what does that mean?
Can you repeat the question?
Whoever sins, hold them back, slow them down, their lineage will not speed them up, carry them forward.
So it's the amal that is up, not the lineage. It doesn't matter.
So what does that imply? What does that mean? So it's a metaphor. It's like, let's say you're moving on a path, and your sins are your weight. And imagine you're getting weighted down by your sins, you're slowing down, you're not able to move forward. Your lineage, nasab is your lineage. Your family background, I'm from this family, I'm from that family. It's not going to move you forward. Right? Meaning, do not rely on your background, your lineage. So this might be unfamiliar to people today, but there are some, in some cultures, they thought if your last name is from this caste or this group, it means you're automatically going to Jannah or something. Right? Oh, mashallah, they're the descendants of Imam Sahib, of Pir Sahib, of this Shaykh. Oh, inshallah, they're all going to be going to Jannah anyway. So if they're a little rude, don't worry about it. No. You think because your last name is one of the big last names? You could have Sayyid, you could have Faruqi, you could have one of the big last names. And those are all very good things. Lineage is a beautiful thing in Islam. There's some people who go to extremes and they think Sayyid or Sharif or Shurafa is not a good last name. No, it's a very beautiful thing to have a good lineage. But it has to be, you have to carry that name too. If you're going to be named after the Prophet or the companions, you have to carry that name too. So whoever is not sped up by their actions, don't think that your lineage is going to catch you up. Oh, this person is not from a good family. You know, they're doing good deeds, but I'll be fine in the end. No. So the Prophet is saying that. Now, can we risk taking the last hadith? Okay, we'll try it. This one, right? 10 more minutes. Okay, we'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it. And when I hear عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال صلى الله عليه وسلم فيما يرويه عن ربه تبارك وتعالى قال إن الله كتب الحسنات والسيئات ثم بين ذلك فمن هم بحسنة فلم يعملها كتب الله عنده حسنة كاملة وإن هم بها فعملها كتب الله عنده 10 حسنات إلى 700 ضعف إلى أضعاف كثيرة وإن هم بسيئة فلم يعملها كتبها الله عنده حسنة كاملة وإن هم بها فعملها كتبها الله سيئة واحدة رواه البخاري ومسلم في صحيحيهما بهذه الحروف. Okay. Ibn Abbas narrated, may Allah be pleased with father and son, that the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, among the things that he relates from his Lord, glorified and majestic, is that Allah has written down good deeds and bad deeds. Allah has written down good deeds and bad deeds. And then he explained it by saying this: whoever has intended to do a good deed and has done it, Allah will write down with himself a full good deed. But if he has intended it, sorry, let's go back. I'm going to read it from here. Whoever intended to perform a good deed, but did not do it, okay, they did not do it, then Allah writes down with himself a complete good deed. And if that person intended to perform the good deed and then did perform it, then Allah writes it down with himself as representing 10 good deeds up to 700 times, up to many times multiplied. And if he intends to perform an evil deed but did not do it, then Allah writes it down as a complete good deed. And if he intended to do the evil deed and then he performed it, Allah writes it down as one evil deed only. Okay? How many scenarios? 4 scenarios. What does this verse tell us? That doing the deed, the first thing is your intention. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, in one hadith there is a near meaning, that the intention of a believer is better than their action sometimes. Because sometimes you can intend to do a good deed, and you don't get to do the deed. How many times have you wanted to give money to someone, and then they went away, and you couldn't give it to them? Or someone needed help, and you went to help them, somebody else already helped them. Right? So you already intended to do the action. Allah, the intention is such a beautiful thing. Just intend to do good deeds. And then even if you don't do it. Now, what we see here, when hamma, this is different types of resolve. When hamma bi hasana. Hamma doesn't mean, like, sometimes we say humum, like thoughts. It doesn't mean you just had a passing thought. Hamma means like you really wanted to go do it. Okay? Like you were moved to actually go and do this. Right? So you have to have that type of resolve to actually want to go and do that action. And so it's very obvious if you do one and you didn't do it, Allah writes a good deed because Allah looks at your intentions and not only your actions, and it's mercy from Allah. Then the second one, if you actually do the good deed, look at the mercy of Allah. Allah writes it down like you did 10 good deeds. Up to 700 times. So you give $1, Allah can say $700. Why do you think, what's the range for 10 to 700 is huge. What do you think is that range? What do you think affects that range? How do you know? Why is it that from 10 to 700 times?
I guess it has to do with how much you gave vis-a-vis how much you were capable of giving.
That could be one thing. So when a very wealthy person gives $10, it's different than when, somebody, subhanAllah, that inmate in jail who worked for like some crazy number of hours, getting paid like a few cents an hour, saves all his money and then gives like $17 to Gaza or something. I mean, can you imagine how difficult that was for him? And that we spend that much on fast food. We just one meal in fast food. We spend that much, and these people worked hours, labor, gave that money. How do you think that weighs with Allah? That's why Allah said 10 to 700 times to many times. Like you can't even count. Okay, that's one thing. What are they sacrificing? What else?
If that's the case, that 10 to 700 times, usually it's because the way that they're doing it, their intention is sincere. Then maybe the difficulty of it too, like they're doing something which might be hard, like helping somebody move furniture, and maybe it's back breaking, but you're still working to help that person, and you're doing it from your heart. So like then that makes sense for the reward to be like 700.
Yeah. So let's say you start helping somebody, you get somebody cheats, they're ungrateful. You help them again, they double cross you. Then you say, I'm not helping anybody ever again. Then somebody says, can I get your help? And you say, okay, I'm help you. That last time you helped somebody, past your nafs, past your trauma, past your bad experiences, you think that's going to count the same way? No, it's much more. Right? So inshallah, because Allah is merciful. So sincerity is the big thing. How sincere are you depends how Allah will judge that action, and only Allah can judge that. Even the angels cannot actually record that. Only Allah can judge that. The next one, even desisting from evil is a good deed. So what's the third category? If you intended and were going to go do an evil deed, but then you didn't do it, you did a good deed. People don't realize this. You said, you know what? When she comes back, I'm gonna yell at her so bad. I'm gonna tell her off so bad. She comes in front of you and you say, forget it. I'm not gonna tell you off the same way you told me off. Forget it. I have nothing to say. So Islamabad, give me a few minutes, okay? So this is a worship too, sitting waiting for one salah to come. Yes, so even having this idea that you're going to do a bad deed. Now this doesn't mean you got caught so you stopped. My teacher would always give this example because it's very stark. Someone looking through a keyhole, watching someone else change, and someone comes from behind, oh no, I'm not doing anything. No, this is not stopping you. This is not it. You got caught, so then you stopped doing it. No. Although at least you didn't get the sin. Because intention of the sin, you don't get the sin. But it's when you say, I can look up this bad thing, then you say, yeah, just close it, finish. You get one good deed for doing that. Or so this is the whole point, that even desisting from evil is a good deed. And there's a very, very hadith, I don't have time to mention it, but in Bukhari there's a very big example. The next thing is, and if you do a bad deed, you intend it, and you actually do it, Allah only writes down one bad deed. So Allah is not unfair to you. But even this bad deed, the angels, it is said, the angels delay writing it for a little while to give you time to make tawbah from it. To see, does this person turn back? Because when you do a bad deed, if you just repent to Allah and you quickly do another good deed, wipe it out. That's what happens. You wipe it out. That doesn't mean I'm going to do a bad deed, planning on doing a good deed to wipe it out. No, you can't take advantage of Allah, right? But yeah. And so that's basically, and so the whole point is, never think that you're too far into a bad deed to stop. A lot of people think, oh, we already went here in the relationship, I'm doing everything haram, might as well do all the haram. No. If you pull back from your haram relationship, if you pull back from your bad habits, from being bad to your children, your spouse, your work, cheating at work, if you pull back from anything, Allah can replace it with good deeds. And Allah can rectify your situation. So never think I'm too far in. And the next thing is, good deeds are more invaluable than we imagine. We don't imagine the value of good deeds, right? And finally, there is an economy with deeds. So if you find that you're doing bad deeds, try to stop doing them, but also do more good deeds, and inshallah, even it out that way. So inshallah, this is a shortcut to fixing our actions. Any one question? Any one really, really important question? No? Okay, inshallah, next class, we will have the final class, inshallah ta'ala. Inshallah, we'll see you all, well, first of all, get chai, and then we'll see you next week.